All right, everybody, this is the Bay Area's only toy reviewer, and I'm back again with another review. So, this is the one that you were waiting for. Or not waiting for. Nobody really watches these effing videos. So, I'm just going to get into it. This is MegaMan EXE, the main character, the guy, the leader of the show. The character that the guy is entirely based on. And this is his figure. I figure if I was going to get into this line, because I bought them when they came out, and I believe that was like maybe 10 or 15 years ago. I'm not sure when. But I bought this guy when they came out, and I figured if I'm going to have any character, I should have MegaMan. MegaMan and Proto Man were the two characters that I should have, and I do have them. Even if I never decide to collect ever again, these are the characters that I should have. I'm not going to go into the like aesthetics really of like paint and things like that, because you can clearly see what color this guy is. You see where all the color patterning is. You see everything. A little bit of backstory for me and why I have these figures. I played the series of games because I had Mega Man Battle Network 1 through 6 for the Game Boy Advance. I also believe they came out for the 2D and 3DS. I'm not sure. I stopped playing this particular line of games after a certain point, but they've always held a special place in my heart because I played them at a time where I was going through a lot of hardship. And these games brought me a little bit of joy in those hard times. If anybody tries to tell you that you can't get enjoyment out of a TV show, music, a game, or anything like that when you're going through a really bad time in your life, they're full of shit, and you absolutely should not listen to them, because all they're trying to do is just take your happiness away, because they probably don't have any themselves. So that being said, I have MegaMan here. Going quickly into the articulation, his arm goes around 360. His wrist goes around 360. It's the same on the other side here. Same thing, same exact thing. Same type of articulation. His waist does go around 360, as you can clearly see. His head goes around 360. You can clearly see. Out of all of the MegaMan EXE guys I have, I think I've kept him the most pristine out of all of them as far as like paint. There's no real paint chipping on his helmet or anything like that. There's really no paint chipping. Even, like there's paint, but where it's applied, it was difficult for me to actually do a lot of damage to it, if that makes any sense. Because the paint was strategically put in certain places where it avoided touching other things. You have his symbol here, because each one of these characters, I think they're called net navies. Don't quote me on that. Each one of these guys has their own symbol somewhere on their body, and his is here, and the sides of his helmet. He has the back here. This back doesn't come off, and it doesn't do anything else. It's just a backpack. It's just there. I'm going into his leg. His leg does go up to about that far. Knee joint goes back to about that far. Leg goes back to about that far. Though articulation, his legs do not go out at all. As the other Battle Network figures go, he does have the weapon swap out feature, but as opposed to like Proto Man or Search Man, he comes with two accessories. So if we just pull his arm off like so, he comes with a wide sword, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. He comes with a wide sword. In the game, there are a variety of different types of bladed battle chips that can be used in combat. There's the long sword, there's the wide sword, there's the short sword, there's I believe different types of elemental, fire, electricity, and I think there's another one too. He also has his patented, came off prematurely. That's what she said. Am I right? Nobody's watching this. He has the his patented Mega Buster. And it does have the firing gimmick. Translucent yellow plastic. I mean, if you're into this sort of thing, it's cool. I don't really like gimmicky toys like this, but, you know, it's whatever. One of the reasons why I don't like it is because if you aren't very careful and keep all of this stuff in one place, you will lose the stuff. It will get lost. I've never really liked gimmicks and things like that. But going back to his original state, just to fill some dead air here, all of the weapons are interchangeable with each other. So, for example, as a matter of fact, I'll show you right now. All the weapons are interchangeable. This is Proto Man's, I believe, his long sword, short sword. His short sword or his long sword. I'm not sure which. But they're all interchangeable. The only problem is that, you know, they look, the color obviously differs from figure to figure. But I believe it was like that in the game too. Like if you used a long sword, it was the same color as like this in the game, but it stayed that color for whichever character you chose, if I worded that correctly. But all of the weapons are interchangeable, which is a good feature, especially if you have a lot of these figures. I only have 4, but if you have a lot of these figures, it's a great feature for playability and photography purposes. As far as like switching up the weapons and making them look different and, you know, simulating which battle chips they're using and things like that. I forgot to mention, there's no articulation anywhere on the leg. None. Whatsoever. The only problem I have with these old school guys is that they have a hard time standing because they don't utilize ball joints or anything like that. They're all like hinges. And they're like hinges and pivots and all that stuff. So they don't really have any ball pegs or anything like that. So you get really no articulation in them. I had to create a foot stand for these guys in order to be able to make them stand up, in order to make them, in order to put them in dynamic poses. For photography reasons, if I want them to go up against another character or go up against each other or whatever, for pictures and things like that. But as I've stated before, and I'll say it again, if you are a fan of this, franchise, and you don't have, you know, $500 to spend on the MegaMan EXE by, I believe, Revoltech. I believe that's the company that made them. Don't quote me. Then I would say pick this guy up if you're a hardcore fan. And that's going to be sort of like the general theme of all my videos. If you are a hardcore fan, then you may get some enjoyment out of this. But if you want something that's more expensive, that gives you more articulation, then I'd say go after the EXE MegaMan from Revoltech. It's going to cost you more. You're going to get more playability out of them. You're going to get more articulation. But at the same time, you're only going to get one character because they only made one character and him. And that's him. With this line, you know, he goes perfectly. He sinks in perfectly with the rest of the characters. They're all designed similar to look the same. None of them are more articulate than any other ones. They look like they go together. They look like they fit, as they should, because they do that on the show and in the anime, or should I say in the anime, which is the show, and the game. They all look like they're supposed to be in the same universe, and that's one thing that I do like. They look how they're supposed to. That's another thing that I really enjoy about these particular figures, is that they look how they're supposed to. They're not weird or then they're not lazily done. They look how they're supposed to look from the game and from the show. So, I mean, if that's something that you're looking for, I would say check them out. eBay, Amazon. If you can get them cheap and you can get them in relatively good condition, I'd say, you know, pick them up. They're worth it, especially for the nostalgia. So, all that being said, Dawson Rider, sounding up. It's messed up the outro. Damn.